Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, can you turn this one up just a little bit? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There you go.
A check, a check.
A check.
A check, check, check.
You ever heard of Brene Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I just went down a Brene Brown rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Well, it's like kind of a you and Brene Brown rabbit hole.
Oh, whoa.
Last 24 hours.
Shit, I guess I don't know that much. Are we related in some
No. It's just like I was just like alternating. I can't focus on just one thing. I have to alternate. Yeah, so, but she's like, have you checked out her like books or anything? Like,
No, I just know kind of generally what's going on. I know that there's been a bunch of like press lately about her and stuff, and she just put out a new one.
I guess. I'm just exploring her now because of all that stuff.
There's like a Mark Maron episode.
Oh, he did her interview with
like
her?
in the last couple months, he's got one with her.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
then.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then I saw Russell Brand did something with her.
Oh, cool.
But she's into vulnerability.
Yeah,
that's her big thing.
Yeah, okay.
Like embrace, like sort of shame and vulnerability, and and the power of all that.
Shit, I feel like I relate. That's where we're related.
I think so. Yeah. That's what I was about to say. I feel like you are a champion of that in a way, like celebrating vulnerability and making it sexy and and making it rock. You know, I feel like you've done that in a great way.
Yeah, well, shit. That's kind of what Heartbones is all about. It's
Really?
Therapy rock.
Is it?
Yeah. We kind of get into some, like, I guess you wouldn't know yet because the album's not, like,
right, because
released.
Right now, is it covers kind of thing? Or,
no.
Or
we did, like, one tour where we did the Dirty Dancing soundtrack and just did, like, five of our songs at the end to, like, kind of show the correlation and what's about to happen. And now we're just doing originals, basically.
That's cool.
Like, we have a whole album done and stuff. But here's Sabrina. Here we go.
Hey, Sabrina. Hi, nice to meet you. It's a little cramped. Nice to meet you.
Joseph and Sabrina meeting. They gave you some headphones and a microphone.
I love the green pants.
Thanks.
Safety first.
Hey, is that a new tattoo?
No.
I love it. It's a boombox. It's cool. We were just talking about Brene Brown. Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's had a huge impact on my life.
That's amazing because I just went down a Brene Brown rabbit hole and researching y'all, and then I was like oscillating between Brene Brown and y'all, and it was like the correlations of like the power of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And like what you do with your fashion stuff and everything, like it's embracing of that. I feel like that energy. And what he has always been about to me too, without even knowing that that's, because it's like when I saw you in Minneapolis, and yeah, I was like, why is this so good? I couldn't, like, you know what I mean? But like it took me till like tonight or yesterday to feel like, oh yeah, that's because of the embracing of vulnerability is so empowering to people to.
Are we rolling?
I think so.
Oh, okay, sorry. I have this happen almost all the time when I go to a podcast where the best conversation happens in the first 5 minutes.
It's always like rolling. That. Yeah, we're totally loose about it.
That's why we start recording 10 minutes before you come.
Yeah.
Whoa. What did you capture of us before that?
I don't know. We caught the what do you call it? The foreshadowing of your spirits.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They were interesting.
Yeah, they were probably just like mad at traffic right there.
No, that's why we found parking.
Yeah.
The spirits went ahead.
Yeah. They were like, you guys got to get here and help
somehow
this guy
tricked
out.
a guy into like the into the fire hydrant spot. And I was like, if you just pull forward just a little bit. And I was like, oh shit, that guy's in the hydrant zone and I got the good spot now.
Nice one.
Today's working out.
So who do we have today for the listeners that just joined us?
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. I'm Sabrina and
I'm Sean, or Harmar.
Harmar superstar, Sabrina Ellis.
Yeah, together.
And our band is...
We're called Heartbones when we're together.
Heartbones.
Heartbones.
Yeah.
That's an interesting moniker.
Yeah. You know, it sort of like now that You know what I mean? You hear a name after like so many times and it just doesn't like mean anything anymore.
Right.
Like the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
The
or
Police.
Like 9 Inch Nails. Yeah. Like you say the Police and it's like, yeah, whatever. It's like, it's like a thing I can't even really remember the origin of it besides just sort of like we're just texting back and forth or something one day, trying to think of names.
And the Red Hot Chili Peppers have proven that if the songs are good enough and the band is good enough, any name will just roll off the tongue.
And Red Hot Chili Peppers was taken, so we had to go with Heartbones. So.
Yeah.
I remember it was just had a nice ring to it. There was one other name idea.
Oh yeah, Physical Tickets.
That's good too. Well, that could be the album title, or you already have a title for the album.
There's some ideas. I do like that album title, but I like for Physical Tickets. I think the band needs to be more like tough and noisy or something like that. Not that our band isn't
fleeting
tough.
Thing, Physical Tickets.
Yeah,
it's what?
Exactly.
Fleeting like concept.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
In today's world, there's no more physical tickets.
Yeah,
you're on a list. You paid to be on a list.
You get your Ticketmaster printout. It sucks. There's no stubs to say.
Yeah.
I just like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Like physical graffiti.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Physical Tickets.
Yeah, it sounds like
an album title.
You're about
to
get into something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some heavy ticketing.
A concert maybe.
But that, but that band name, it speaks to that Brene Brown vulnerability and power, Heartbones, because it's like heart is all super vulnerable and soft and like the power too, but then bones is like protective.
Yeah.
So it's like the duality or something.
And I think when you think of a heart getting broken, you don't actually think of like the crack of a bone. You know what I mean? So
That's
I think
true.
Like there's kind of something in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So how did Brene Brown? Not that I want to talk about Brene Brown the whole time, but I'm a little
I was
obsessed.
hoping we would get back into that swing about talking about Brene Brown and talking about vulnerability and what it means in our band and in our collaboration.
Yeah.
So Brene Brown is a psychologist and a professor and a researcher, statistician, I believe, at U of H.
U of H?
Somewhere.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm from Houston originally, and I live in Austin. So it's
really?
proud. It's proud to me that one of the top psychologists right now that's really helping people, is a Texas person. Yeah, she comes from I can't remember where in Texas she's from, but it's a smaller town that has like a lot of grit about it. So she was raised in kind of
Fort
this like
Worth?
Texas family home, somewhere near there. Like, I don't want to say wrong where she's from. There's a lot of little towns like this in Texas, like the town in King of the Hill, and so she was raised in a kind of Texas grit, like, be tough and don't show your weakness, and just prove to everybody that you can do everything and how capable you are. And she really soared that way because she became an academic and very successful, and she's just got this really great mind and this great way of communicating. And while she was researching shame and vulnerability from I don't even understand how, but from like a statistics
academic level
viewpoint. And she started to realize that something people just really have in common that really drives us often away from our happiness and away from comfort with ourselves is our levels of shame about failure, shame about mostly about failure and about not being who society has laid out that you should be. And so the way that she impacted my life specifically was, and Sean and I were friends throughout this time, I guess at the end of 2017, I had been on tour for about 1.5 years straight, and I wasn't taking very good care of my mental health. By that I mean I was neglectful, and I thought that I was doing a really good job of just getting my work done and being a powerhouse, and I was being tough.
And then in what ways were you neglectful? You, like, weren't doing your routines or?
No. I mean, it's beyond that. Stuff? I mean, I would have, honestly, I would have rage episodes. My rage was out of control. I had anger management issues, and I would destroy property. Which is also linked to
shame. She was saying in one of her things.
Yeah. I really was so afraid of people seeing me ever mess up that I would try to be scary and intimidating, not realizing, you know, that from an outside perspective, I really looked like somebody who was hurting very badly, even though, you know, I was hurting. I was taking it on trash cans, taking it out on vehicles, taking it out on myself physically. Sometimes I would lose my voice from screaming. Was anything
external inducing massive stress to you, like bad relationships, toxic relationships, or anything like that? Or
well, to be honest, yes, there's been a history of toxic relationships in my life that I end up having to be really tied to. But some of it's too big to even unpack and address, you know, when I have work to do. But really, it was a combination of inside, external and internal influences. Some of it was that I had, you know, I'd lost my dad, and I hadn't dealt with the grief in a process way, so it had turned to rage. Another part of it was when you're a musician, you become your business, your body and your voice and the things your mind creates. They're all things that you also want other people to like and approve of and to even buy. And and you just go around presenting yourself and saying, why don't you take a look at this? Why don't you listen to what this has to say?
Well, I've always funny the way you put that is so great.
I mean, to choose that is presumptuous anyway, but I've always been a really self-loathing
I know, and
person.
It's mixed with all that too, because if we've done that, we've come from self-loathing somehow. So
I feel like that's just like a prerequisite. It is to end up here in the basement with Coney Island Baby. You know?
I can convince you to like me. I can't like myself, but
exactly. But you have to love me. Enough to pay money for just for me to be around.
How am I going to eat? I mean,
and I like to. If I can show you how well I dance, and you know, some clever ideas that I've had, maybe this will all go away for 45 minutes every night. So it was that, and then I spiraled. I had a break from work suddenly at the end of 2017, and I couldn't remember how to feed myself. I couldn't remember how to talk with people. I would have entire days pass where I'd think about what needed doing and think that I was about to do it, or even thinking I had done it, but I had actually just, maybe, I'm not exaggerating, sat on the concrete floor of my kitchen for 6 hours or something, intending to eat, intending to go to the post office. And it was really getting kind of scary. And I asked for some help. For the first time in my life, actually,
or to a human,
to other humans around me, I said, you know, I come off as really tough, and I really like to drive myself forward, but I've collapsed, and I really need help, and I don't even know what kind of help I need or where to go or what to do. And so next thing I know, I'm signing myself into in Texas a mental institution where I'm going to get some help, where I'm going to have intense help, unlike a break unlike I've had before.
At least you went and you knew you needed help. That's a big step all on its own.
And Sean called me when that happened. We were friends, and we talked about what I was going through. So getting to the Brene Brown part, let me skip over the whole boring drama of being in a psych.
Well, it's not really that boring.
Yeah, it's not really that boring.
I know it's
we don't
actually
really have to skip it. If you're like, I'm interested in it. But it is like something like, again, like the vulnerability of saying, hey, I need some help. Is actually an empowering move.
But I didn't even know that yet. I was just, I need some help or else. It was just a scary moment, and.
Was there any other externals that brought you to a place of such massive dysfunction? Like in terms of
there were so many that I can't even detail it right now.
Right.
I really just and when I said the boring drama of being in a mental facility, no, I was being sarcastic.
Right, no, I got that.
It's a great experience to have. I was only there for a week, and I was there doing group therapy, and I was trying some new medications, new to me. But what really, really changed me quicker than having the help of the doctors and of the medications was the level of compassion and empathy that I felt being in a hospital, confined there with other people who were maybe in a similar situation to me or maybe way worse. My roommate was a woman who was living on the streets and had to be, brought in. And she was so grateful to have the stale, strange food that we were given a couple times a day. Another woman was trying to recover from a crack addiction and had lost almost every member of her family. So just the level, going from putting up this tough defense wall so that I could just power through and not think about how much I'm hurting, or not think about how I hurt others or how they hurt me. Going from that to being just hit with this flood of emotion of new humans coming into my life who are strangers but who I related to so hard, it changed me very fast.
Right. That's great. That's that reminds me of because I've done a lot of 12-step program stuff, and it's that's what I get struck with when I'm in those rooms is you just go, oh yeah, life is supposed to be difficult and a challenge. It's a difficult challenge for every one of these people.
Totally.
Worse than even mine half the time, and so it's it just makes you go oh, okay. I don't know. And there was something about listening to Brene Brown yesterday, and even just what you just said just now, where it's man, that's where the spirit comes in, because it's oh yeah, we're all just vulnerable as hell out here, just trying our best and dealing with shame and all kinds of shit.
Well, and that's the thing with that too, is when you go to I recently just stopped drinking for a long period of time, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it feels
you look
good.
Really good, actually.
Thanks, man. Just sort of just rejuvenated, but
it's so nice to not drink. I haven't drank in over 3 years.
Oh yeah, it's great. I'm at about 3 months right now, and
that's
it feels
awesome.
really good. But but just seeing I like the camaraderie of the storytelling in those situations, and just knowing that anybody from any walk of life, there's a grandma from down the street that's just I mean, and anybody possible telling these stories of their rock bottoms or just any sort of mid-level kind of freakouts they have. And I love that, but I kind of only went to the one because I'm kind of a lone dog in that way. But also, there's some sort of level of join us that kind of freaks me out a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you're trying to get recruited, and I get it totally. I think it's a great
join us the sober people, or
yeah, totally. I get that too.
It's a benevolent cult, but it's a cult.
It is.
I mean,
no, but I'm freaked out by it, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I think it's a great thing.
I do too.
For me, and walking around my neighborhood in Minneapolis, I feel a little bit it doesn't feel so anonymous. You know what I mean? when it's me.
There's a stand-up comedian. Oh yeah, I think Norm Macdonald has a whole bit about it being anonymous, and you're in a basement of a church in a room full of people saying your name, but not giving your last name, just your last initial. And he has a whole bit about it.
I haven't heard that one.
How it's ridiculously not anonymous in a way, and it's super funny. Look up Norm Macdonald. But then, and then even on the level of this podcast, you're not supposed to admit what 12-step program you're talking about, and then that's okay. Everybody doesn't know what the fuck 12-step program we're talking about.
Yeah,
but hey, we don't.
Track and field.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules, though. But it's okay.
You don't talk about.
But everybody and then Russell Brand writes a book that's called the 12-step thing, but it's not about that one. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's all. I'm for talking about this kind of shit.
Totally.
To me, it's this is the human condition.
Yeah.
And alcoholism to me is it means everything from a housewife who drinks 2 glasses of wine every night to like somebody drinking bottles of Listerine they find in the trash can or whatever. You know, it's like it's so divergent on a spectrum like that. But
yeah, it can be anything really.
I don't know. With 12 step, it's like take what they say, like take what you like and leave the rest.
Yeah, you interpret it.
You know, like, and then the culty vibes that you feel, or those judgmentally sort of shame-based vibes that you can feel. I just like try to ignore that shit.
Yeah.
I don't really go to meetings that much anymore, but I do go here and there, and I do consider myself a member.
No, totally. And I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I just felt like I was kind of like a token, or like some sort of like, we got him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And, you know, and well, something about that. Like, I don't want to be part of any. You know what I mean? It's like that classic. I don't want to be part of any club that would have me, sort of.
Yeah, I had. Yeah, well, also
is it sober friends that you felt like who?
Yeah, and it's that it's like, not that it's even like strangers within the group. I don't know. It's like
because you're known in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I guess that might be
very well known there and stuff like that.
But I think it's people. Yeah. No.
What are you talking about?
From Minneapolis.
Prince,
then.
Well, there's also Bob Dylan.
Famous people from Minneapolis.
He's second in line. That's
I don't know. There's a lot more than that.
No, there's some pretty. He's got some rough. He's got some rough competition.
We got Josh Hartnett. You know.
Yeah, but how many of them have a day?
I think a lot.
Really?
I don't know. You know.
Because when I gotta say, the only thing I was, when I was like researching your stuff, I was like, this makes me jealous that you have a whole day allotted to you. I was like, okay, there's some envy cropping up in me now.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, man. We can work this out. I can share it.
I think we can work it out.
Yeah.
No, but that's pretty amazing.
It was great. I mean, that's like a thing you don't expect, is for the mayor to give you a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like young, you're a young man. Like usually, if you get a day, it's like you're 80 and it's like wheel out Harmar and then give him a day. You know, the whole guy ain't making jams anymore. Like, let's give him a day.
Yeah, they should give nights.
You're in the fucking prime of your life. You're in the thick of it.
Yeah, they should have given me a night.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
really
sir.
Make the most of it. You
know? A night. I get it. Yeah.
What do you do on that day when you're not in Minneapolis?
Oh, well, it was just, I think it was the one day that one year, like September 20th.
Oh, it's not every year?
No, that's not.
I'm less jealous now.
Yeah, good, because that would make me uncomfortable.
Right? If you had a
I wouldn't know how to celebrate that.
Yeah, every year? That's a lot of responsibility.
It's like another anniversary.
You start seeing piñatas of yourself pop up in the local grocery stores. You're like, oh.
Yeah, you got to be great all the time.
It gets bastardized, like,
Yeah, like what if you're having an off couple 5 years? Like, remember, like Bob Dylan. Think of Bob Dylan's career. Like, he had some off years.
Oh,
you know, like. I don't know.
I've definitely had some off years.
Yeah. Well, you've been killing it though for a long time, man. I love your music.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
It feels good. I feel like kind of like a cockroach of music. I feel like all of us who are still doing it now are like the people who it's just like kind of a numbers game of not quitting.
Right? We didn't quit. Like, we're still going.
You know?
That could be our album title. Cockroach of music.
Or we're still going.
It's a hit.
Physical ticket. Physical tickets.
I don't know.
I like that as it's
I think Hot Dish is kind of like in
Hot Dish?
It's like a Minnesota, kind of, that's what we call casseroles. It's a tradition. It's like a very local kind of reference. But I like the name of Hot Dish.
They eat it at potlucks.
Yeah,
and at bars.
It can be anything. It's basically just any sort of casserole, but we don't say that word.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you play. What's the smaller room at the? I know you play like all the venues there, but I saw one time you played First Avenue, but in the smaller room.
7th Street Entry.
7th Street Entry, and you were playing with a band, and you had some tapes going.
Yeah.
And you kept telling the sound man, like, turn up the beats.
Yeah.
Remember that? And you were like, turn up the beats.
That was a struggle for like 10 solid years before anybody had the tracks.
Like, you were like, turn up the beats. And I don't know, I loved that. Those kind of rock and roll moments, you know? Like, but so what's like? So Heartbones is like. You were saying it's all about being the empowerment of vulnerability and all that. You were saying the songs might even reflect that.
Yeah, we call it like therapy rock, you know. there's definitely a lot about shame and control and anger and rage and all that stuff in our lyrics. And there's like, it's not all insecurity, but like kind of owning it. And it's just kind of like the form it took. I think when we get together, we just kind of like, Sabrina and I just like
go into those realms,
talk about what's happening, in our lives, and then just sort of go into a room and write some stuff. And then like that's kind of what's on the top of our heads at that point.
Is it getting even more vulnerable lyrically than like your previous stuff, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely there's like a tenderness there that like a lot of stuff I've been doing recently hasn't had, or like for a long time. So
right, like what do you mean?
I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. Maybe not. I guess now that I think about it, I guess I haven't like stepped back and looked at the bigger picture. It's hard to like
analyzed it.
Yeah. It just feels like a fresh era of new, more adult kind of problems and solving of them, and just realizations of like, there's less bravado going on. And
more vulnerability.
Like, more vulnerability.
Which is going to be more power.
Yeah, which brings some sort of different bravado, I guess, in a way. You know what I mean?
Totally. Like, look at John Lennon.
Yeah.
I mean, he is like a shining example of like being extremely vulnerable and therefore extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
So Sabrina, how did you get to the point now where you're like, are like more sort of recovered and?
I'd say it's a pretty constant check-in and maintenance situation. And lately, actually the past few weeks and months, I've felt myself hardening, feeling really tough and
in a good
withdrawn.
way?
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying this is what's happening. In the past, I wouldn't have noticed it. I know why I do it. It's because I've been on the road for 4 months. I have five months straight of touring right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just emotionally isolating myself and
it's not the
trying not
mentally
to feel too much
thing to do, to be
right.
touring.
I mean, it's an equivalent of drinking. Trying not to feel what wants to be felt but is difficult. So that's what I'm going through right now. And so coming in here, having you talk about Brene Brown a bit, that's pretty serendipitous, because the past few days I've been thinking, wow, I'm getting a little too tough. I'm almost forgetting how to emotionally connect with people. It feels scary too. I feel insecure. How can I soften up? How can I soften up a bit and help myself to feel better? I don't have time to go check in somewhere, go to a bunch of therapy appointments. We got work to do.
Yeah. And that's kind of a problem I find, like, just with being a musician, is like, even if I wanted to, I think like a few months ago, I'd kind of like just hit some wall with like everything, where I just realized I was like wearing myself down and running on empty. And the reason I was like constantly in a horrible mood was because I like drink to kind of get away from it. But then I was just having zero energy and not getting like sleep and just like normal kind of like life stuff. But like when you look into like a program, I was like honestly looking into like outpatient kind of programs and things.
Mm-hmm.
But just with my schedule, there's like no one who would even accept me, because I would have to like miss like a week of it to be able to pay my bills. You know what I mean? Like, so I just sort of have to like give up this like fragile infrastructure of like kind of interwoven things that all kind of like the means to an end is to like pay my mortgage, at the end of the day or whatever. And just like checking out for a month or whatever they wanted me to do was like, I can't do that, because I've got like this thing that pays for the rest of my year coming up, and like, you know what I mean? Like, and like there was just no kind of infrastructure to like
support that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of like the messed up catch-22 of it. And then they're like, well, just go out and play shows and have some like free booze sitting in a basement, in a depressing basement that you're like in or whatever.
Oh, welcome to your next like mediocre hotel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. where you have to like check out early because you got to get to this interview and then like sort of represent yourself even though you're underslept.
Yeah, take a van nap with a seatbelt buckle in your
But
spine.
if you show any edge, well then you're like a entitled rock star dickhead. You know, like if you show any of that frayed infrastructure that is just. That's the thing. It's so like, wild because that is when you're up front in front of people. People don't realize that is like at these most like sort of like hardcore situations. But like I got to this thing like because my life completely fell apart about 3.5 years ago where I went into a state of extreme isolation. I lost contact with everybody in my world, and it was incredibly dark. And then I guess I just switched my focus to athletics and meditation and things like just to survive. Like it became real survival and not even about like sobriety, this or that or the other. And I've maintained that for the most part in terms of my priority now is my state of mind. And then because I was a careerist to the fullest degree before that, even though I was like self-destructing that and fucking that up too. But like I switched my focus to like my state of mind. And like even like today I went on a run before this, you know, and like listening to finishing a Brene Brown thing and I use the Ho'oponopono mantra like a lot, which is I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, just over and over in my head. Positive things like this, and yoga too as a sort of daily practice. I think those things are just incredibly important to keep your frame going.
Definitely. I found like, definitely going to the gym and staying physical and like that, taking like 10 minutes a day to meditate in some way really just like changes everything.
It changes everything.
And now just like for me, I feel lucky that like I'm in a spot where I'm not really missing drinking at all, and it just actually seems like more of a stressful thing for me. You know what I mean? Like
100%, dude.
Because I'm like, well, I'll just unravel and I'll say some dumb shit and I'll like wake up with the phantom regrets again and all that shit.
Guilt, shame, and remorse.
The shame
guilt,
spiral.
shame, and remorse. You know, like that's the worst.
Yeah.
You know.
So I feel lucky to be in that spot and just still be able to tour through it. And you know, I'm not saying I'm like the master of mental health or by any means, but I'm like I feel good at least.
It's a constant process and it's a responsibility too. So if you're already feeling overwhelmed and then you get new information about how to take care of yourself better, it's good information, but it's also daunting. It takes some maturity and some acknowledging of your self-worth to take the time to do those things, to meditate, to, you know, to make yourself feel better. I think for a long time for me, I ignored self-care and that kind of work because it felt, it didn't feel that useful to me because I didn't have a lot of self-value and felt like pleasing the people around me was more valuable than taking some time to figure out what I needed to start to accept myself. And classic self-love deficit disorder. Oh yeah, that's what Ross Rosenberg calls it, the codependent expert, which is like being being a people pleaser, which I've struggled with. I think like a lot of entertainers, we're all people pleasers.
With that like that inner void of hamminess. That comes from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
On this tour that you guys are on, is it just the two of you touring, or is there a full band with you?
Yeah, there are 5 of us on stage and in the van and all that. Just kind of like self-sufficient little squad.
Yeah, our band, it's a drummer, a keyboard player, synth player, and a bass player, and the 3 of them record with us.
Yeah.
The drummer and the synth player are our producers as well. Yeah, they produce,
so
that's
it
amazing.
Really works out.
Names?
And we have, sorry?
Who are they?
We have Aaron Baum on synth, and Ryan Mock on the drums and kind of running the tracks and things, and like all the digital drums too. And then Adam Hurlbert on bass. They're all from Minneapolis as well. and they're all kind of like amazing producers in their own right. So.
Yeah,
and sound guys, like everything,
and they're really
awesome.
good people.
It's like just this.
Yeah, jumping in the van with this specific group. Our first tour together was in the fall of 2018, so pretty recent. And this is our second tour together with this group. That also has played into a bit of my growth and maturity and feelings that I can take better care of myself and be the person that I want to be.
How so?
So these people in this band, they're all from the Midwest. They're all from Minneapolis or grew up around there, Milwaukee and stuff. And they're all a little bit older than me and than the people that I run with. And I come from a punk background. And, you know, a lot of rock bands definitely get caught up in a party culture. And sometimes in your scene, especially when my band started, which was, I don't know, like 2008, the punk scene was just a very masculine scene, pretty exclusive. If you're entering the scene and you're not a guy, I'm not saying like you face discrimination and abuse, although a lot of people do, but you definitely get skepticism that if you are successful, it is actually just because you have tits, and that if you're not successful, that's well deserved as well, because like, what are you doing here? And that was the kind of vibe that I entered in at that time. Not with, none of my bandmates were treating me that way, but that was our scene that we'd enter. So we all had a big chip on our shoulder to protect ourselves. None of us wanted to get in a fight, and none of us wanted to get made fun of. So we'd enter situations as though we were pretty tough, pretty cold, pretty unshakable. And then our stage performance was that, but exponentially.
Yeah, 10 times.
So, and then you practice
so was
something
that great,
enough.
Though? Was it good?
Well, if you
Did
practice something enough, it becomes what you are,
right?
And how you treat your real personal life. And so I didn't notice, but over the course of like over a decade, I had become a total bro. Just chip on my shoulder, kind of defensive, putting people down to show that I wanted to initiate friendship. And that was just like a normal thing to do.
Yeah, just like that negging.
Yeah.
It was like, whatever, it's what we
Always,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I hopped in the van with these guys, and they're all Midwestern, and they're all a little bit more mature. Some of them are married. Some of them have just already outgrown the punk chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, last night, I was walking with two of them. They ran into a tree, a low-hanging branch of a tree, and they're like, oh sorry, and I started cracking up.
Because they were apologizing to the tree.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, they're not, these people are all, when I say tough and I'm saying it in a derogatory way, I mean like, oh, I'm too tough to address my emotional hurt and vulnerability. Everyone that I work with is tough enough, thick-skinned enough to do our job and to stick up for what they need when they need it. If we're going to get pushed around. But the fact is, you're not just entering every situation about to get pushed around. Especially the older you get, you need to realize that, or you're going to make yourself really miserable. And so,
probably not as much as you think.
You're going to walk into the party already angry.
So it was really it was a good learning experience for me to hop in a van. I was kind of a stranger to most of them other than Sean, and to learn about a different kind of masculinity than what I was used to, than the scene that I had come up in, and what I was trying to exhibit to protect myself.
A more refined masculinity?
I feel like,
masculinity with more of a spectrum for vulnerability.
I feel like, we've all like kind of grown up through stuff, and, obviously, with the Harmar thing, too, there was a point where I was, like, kind of parodying, like male machismo and all that stuff, and the confidence of R&B. Yeah, and then just like being like, I've been feeling like kind of like trying to like defy like body types and all that thing and all those things, and then 10 years into it, I realized like I'm kind of like part of this boys club, and I'm like the confidence is like not faked anymore, and I was like, this is gross, I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
I gotta like turn this ship around. And started writing more like
because you embraced it so totally that it didn't come off as parody.
Yeah, it was like tongue in cheek,
and it just was like you were rocking it, and it worked.
And then there was like one day I was like, this isn't cool anymore. I gotta like.
It was your signature. I mean,
yeah,
that's
I gotta
how
like.
I found out about it.
Yeah, I was like, my name is Harmar Superstar, and I'm the fucking best. You know what I mean? That was just like my tagline forever. But like, but then
makes me want to give you a hug.
But like, then you're just like, wait, no, am I playing into like this like grosser like kind of like male thing that's going on? And I just like kind of retooled and kind of went with more of like let's just write some songs that have nothing to do with anything, and I'm not like trying to make a pop thing, and that's actually what, when I made Bye Bye 17, like what actually was like the best album for like turning that all around and like making me be able to do whatever I want to do now, which was like a total second or third or fourth wind or whatever my career has had. It's kept going, so I feel like
4.
Yeah,
I think about 4, probably maybe 7, who knows.
Yeah. Well, I like from the outside, it just seemed like, like embracing confidence that you would need to like pull off music that you were making. Yeah. In a way that still had humor. Yeah. Like, so to me, I wouldn't describe it as dark as you're describing it. Like, well, but you're on the inside of it.
You're seeing the inside perspective now.
You're on the inside of it.
So. It's frightening. You never want to get really in there.
Yeah, don't come in. No, it's just one of those things where you kind of like, once, you have an alter ego, it's hard to not become it. Right. You know what I mean? And then, like, in interviews, people were like, how much of an alter ego really is it?
So
and I'd be like, I don't actually know anymore. And that's troubling, actually.
Yeah, because you're both kind of saying the same thing. Because yours was, even though you probably didn't have a different name or whatever, but like...
Well, a band name. I always have a band name. I've never gone without it.
But it's an alter ego, just the same.
It's, in this punk performance... where I came up, it's not an alter ego, but it is an exhibition of such confidence it's hyperbolic. It's not confidence I actually own.
That's amazing.
Don't fuck with me confidence.
That's incredible.
And it's also, a performance where, and this is my favorite part about it, but also the risky part is where I can actually push out some real primal parts of myself and exercise some stuff that I can't experience anywhere but in that performance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's some of it's so real.
Are you talking about back in the day, or are you talking about now, or both?
It's both. It's concurrent. The punk band I'm talking about. It was my first band, but it continues now.
It continues now.
Giant dog.
We've been together 11 years.
Okay, one giant dog.
Or a giant dog.
A giant dog.
Whereas, but what's different about that performance than, say, the Heartbones performance is that Sean and I have done a lot of the vulnerability work in the writing. Yeah. And so once we're there up on stage, the level of vulnerability that comes out, it's not as scary and alarming necessarily as what comes out in that, like, full-on primal performance. Mm-hmm. I'm able to focus more on some singing styles that I want to try, and on like trying to follow his dance
the
moves.
shows are like a lot of fun. We're like laughing our
more
way through
this.
We're laughing our way through these problems, and we're like dancing and reined in and like kind of in sync, but like not like in sync, but we are in.
And probably a little like in sync. Hopefully a little.
I know one of their dances.
But so this is like awesome, because it really like it just seems like the convergence of you guys right now, both of you stepping out of alter egos into some more like real versions, more real and more evolved versions of yourselves, and helping each other have the strength to do that. And it's like very cross muse like too.
That's a good way to put it.
Seems very powerful and fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Now I feel like Cross Muse could be another album title.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have to make a lot of albums.
Cross Muse.
Sean, as far as your persona, I feel like when you started, I might be wrong, like Harmar Superstar, the persona was the dude singing in his underwear.
It kind of became that.
Well, that was just an aspect of it.
It went on for a long time.
That's like me live painting or something. It wasn't the whole thing.
Well, but
like
you were just
something.
It was the one thing.
Something something he did.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you evolved, you had the tour with the full band when you were all nicely dressed.
Yeah,
you
totally.
You kept the persona.
Yeah.
And did you consider dropping the Harmar Superstar and going back to Sean?
No, I mean that was
Harmar Superstar is a cool name.
It's
though.
just
Awesome,
a name,
but
yeah.
it's associated with something you're trying to.
There was a point when I was like, when I was gonna put out Bye Bye 17, that like, you know, I was talking to some labels and people that might have put it out were like wondering if I wanted to do a new band name or like whatever. Like the Harmar thing was like, that's that, and I was like, you know, I put in so much work already. Like, why would I like just do
like
that?
Prince or something.
Yeah,
Harmar
well,
Super.
Listen,
you know.
Yeah,
I was thinking it's just funny. Puff Daddy eventually went back to Sean.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
I was gonna take Puff Daddy since he wasn't using it anymore.
he went back to Sean.
That's a good damn point, dude.
Yeah, I was toying with the name Vape Daddy for a while, and it just wasn't sticking.
Did you drop? Did we drop the Superstar? Or is that still in there?
It's still there.
Still in there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, I don't know. It just sort of rolls off the tongue. It's kind of
you've established it. It's
just one of those things.
It's
when
just
you,
like Prince.
When you tell someone from outside of the world of music that your job is that you are this guy Harmar Superstar, it feels really dumb to say in a way. But like when you're just talking to somebody who's been around the scene, they're like, oh yeah, totally. It's like, you know, it's that still back to that Red Hot Chili Pepper 9 Inch Nails kind of thing, like
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Before the car, just about their live show. The reason I asked to begin with is like your promo photo is it's gorgeous.
Wait, I'm trying to think of
the
what
two of you and like
us.
The ski jacket and what's going
Where
on.
is it? I haven't seen it.
We have so many.
Look it up.
Yeah, it's. So I was thinking, is the show? Are you in those outfits?
I'll give you a file
yeah,
right now.
So what's the live show? Is it full on like
live shows? Just like we do definitely dress up like, but like it's not super outrageous. It's just cool looking, but we
it's
definitely
dope.
like when we started
amazing.
When we
Just
started
look at
writing,
that
we
and
had
you're like, I gotta go see these guys.
Yeah. We had more photos, I think more photo setups and photo shoots than songs for about a solid 6 months.
That's great.
Yeah.
Those are great.
And we only started this project like in April last year. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, like we're already like chugging through, just mixed the album, probably going to release it in early
the first
2020.
tour you did the Dirty Dancing stuff because there was no material yet?
Well, it was kind of like a wild hair idea. Like we started writing stuff and we realized that like it kind of reminded us of the Dirty Dancing soundtrack, just our duet style, kind of, and how we would write things. And then I'm like the person who's like, let's fucking do a tour where we just do the Dirty Dancing.
Thought it would be fun.
Soundtrack. Yeah.
And it was really fun and challenging. It's challenging music to learn. So I think it grew me a little bit as a vocalist.
That's cool.
It was fun. Yeah, we learned, we did like, 10 or 12 Dirty Dancing songs and then 5 of our own or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was a good way to introduce what we were doing. We just kind of like wanted to go out and
it was fun
try
for
out
people.
the road.
And then probably write on the.
Did
you write on the road?
Not maybe like scraps of ideas and
sound
stuff.
checks or anything.
We definitely
sound
like
check songs. No.
We're not like.
We wrote a song last night on stage.
Yeah, we write them during the show sometimes.
Yeah.
Like once an idea comes.
Yeah, we had an idea last night. It was something like
wash 'em, hold 'em.
Oh yeah. Wash your hands, wash 'em, hold 'em, and then it kind of morphed into I'd hold your hands even if they were not washed.
Yeah, and then somehow I just was like immediately like my hands are covered in shit. I gotta go.
My hands are covered in shit.
That's the vulnerability.
That's the emotions coming. That's the true emotions coming.
And the other night in Chicago, I believe, we wrote a song about when you undress after a show to make love with somebody, but then there's a guitar pick stuck to your sweaty body.
Oh yeah, that's where that story
That's a good
that you
line.
told came from.
And it was about like, don't laugh at me when I'm undressing for you, and that's kind of vulnerable too.
Yeah, that is.
The old guitar pick titty.
Pick titty.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was good to do that tour. Just people had a blast because first of all, like.
Yeah.
I don't know, for anyone like, I don't know, I'm 41, so like I'm in like the prime pocket zone for like anyone like kind of my age or like maybe even a little older to be like so pumped to go out to a show.
Oh yeah,
no, you're in your prime pocket, your Dirty Dancing prime pocket.
Yeah, it's like Amazon Prime's new Hot Pockets.
No, I mean that's like I'm 47 and that movie was like huge when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
Hot Pocket
so
pairing.
It's like I'm in the prime pocket.
Yeah,
of that
exactly. So people were pumped to see that. So it was like kind of like.
The time of my life.
Yeah, that is, when that when those riffs start.
I mean, like the melodies of those '80s hits are just like.
Did you do the move where you catch her?
The lift. We tried. We employed a blow-up doll that was dressed like Sabrina for like most of the big finale. But yeah, those like I grew up on those '80s soundtracks. Like before like buying complete albums. I mean, obviously I did that too. But like when you'd get like the Top Gun or the Cocktail soundtrack or like you know what I mean, like Romancing the Stone or whatever. Like Dirty Dancing was probably the hugest one. Like it's just like such a great way to find music. Like I probably found doo-wop through Dirty Dancing or like the Stand By Me soundtrack or something. You know what I mean? And like
Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah, exactly.
I just remember that when I was a
Bodyguard.
kid watching that one and like. The guy hung himself and he was naked and I was like, damn! I was like,
yeah, like this isn't like the soundtrack anymore.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, I just listen to the Full Metal Jacket soundtrack all the time. Faces of Death.
Faces of Death. Remember that one when you were a kid? Like
my
God.
that
was like
one kid had like
one
a
kid would have it.
third generation dub of it. And
and you.
Just ruin like the Baptist kid's life.
Yeah.
He's grounded for the rest of ever.
Yeah. I watched it at my friend's house. He's now dead. The kid who I watched it with, he ended up in prison and
Jesus. It sounded like it was kind of like The Ring or something where you watch the videotape.
Yeah, no, it was like later on in life.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, dude. Fuck.
Yeah,
that's like weird to think about. Like
it is weird to think about like that. Yeah,
like, ugh.
Yeah, the older we get, though, the more that kind of shit.
Oh my God!
It's just like
it's
in the. What do you? Oh, because you also have that a whole thing about famous last words.
Oh yeah.
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 And what? That's a real interesting concept.
Yeah, that was a song. I was just kind of like researching, just what people said on their deathbeds. You know what I mean? Like, and just people have really, really interesting. You know what I mean?
I didn't do it.
I didn't. Yeah. Or just be like,
I didn't do it.
Boing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I kind of like just for the song, I kind of pastiche all of the ones that I found together, and I don't even know who said what anymore. But
I didn't even know that, and I love that song.
Yeah, it's like.
Oh, you didn't know it was all famous last words?
Yeah.
No, I just thought you were having like a dark moment.
No.
Literally.
One's like
you.
just like I think God, I'm blanking all names right now.
Steve Jobs is wow.
Yep, that's in there. Mama was what? God, why am I? Fuck, I can't remember names right now.
That's
I'm
okay.
Blanking all. And they would sound so smart and literary if I could remember anything that I researched right now. But
Wow.
Mama. I'm going away tonight. Oh, shit.
Sam Cooke was one of them.
Oh yeah, I mean his is Lady You Shot Me.
Lady You Shot Me.
Yeah. That's like that kind of like inspired a whole album of just ideas for sure, and that was like what Bye Bye 17 was. That was the first song I wrote for it. And those were I mean I just thought that was like kind of like the most poetic, cool, and just like tough thing you could say at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, and there's something about like revelatory, just about saying, lady,
you shot me.
Fucking shot me. Yeah.
I hope those aren't my last words.
Yeah, that's not ones I want. I don't want to be in that situation for sure. But
I want mine to be Ho'oponopono, which is I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That seems like a good, like, I'm out. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you.
I'm just going to say paid in full.
What about you?
She's not going to say shit.
Not going to say anything? Silence? What about you, Hooter?
I don't know. Not my problem.
Not my problem.
Not my problem.
I always tipped 25%.
Charles Bukowski has on his tombstone, "Don't try."
Oh, that's great.
I love that. That's huge. It's like so zen and deep and fuck you and all of it wrapped up into one. It's like, you know.
Oh, man.
It's wise.
What if it just like he wrote "Don't try" in pepperoni on a tombstone pizza and then had a photo of that on the tombstone? That would be like the ultimate meta moment.
All right.
We could make that happen.
Yeah.
Anybody want to pick a life purpose card?
Yeah.
Do you want to read them on helium by any chance?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Great. Let me get you some helium.
All right, so hold them down first until we get helium. So, I'm from Ohio, Akron.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
we just drove through there.
Midwest. Oh, yeah, we're
we just came from Cleveland, Philly, D.C., and now we're here. So
and then where are you playing here?
Le Poisson Rouge tonight.
Tonight?
LPR, yeah.
I want to come.
Yeah, you should come.
I definitely want to come.
You should come. We'll put you on the list.
I would love that. That'd be great. Are you going to go?
I don't know. I'd like to.
Why don't we go?
Just
9
put
o'clock.
Joe +1, and if I can, I'll come.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
We have a mutual friend, me and Sean.
I mean, I feel like you're putting too much healing.
Oh, I just saw Joe Burns 2 nights ago.
He
Yeah.
told me, and,
Joe Burns is a big fan of this podcast.
I love Joe Burns. Yeah,
shout out Joe Burns.
Joe Burns is the best.
For 20 years.
He is sort of the best, isn't he?
I love Joe Burns.
I love Joe Burns too. It's always
me?
it's always fun to see him.
When I asked him
when you roll through Philly.
What should I ask Sean about, and he's like, I don't know, just like. To ask him about the Strokes tour in 2001 when I met him.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because you do anyway. Yeah, let's do this and then we can talk about.
Yeah, I mean, you got great gigs.
Yeah.
At the bat.
Yeah, there's something about. I mean, there was nobody else doing. There's barely any of us doing like a one-man show that could go on tour and not have to set up in front of your amps and drums. I lucked out in that way. And I was also very confrontational. Okay.
All right.
All right. How do we do it?
You could just inhale and read.
Okay.
Inhale and read.
Should I do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Family. Loving your friends and family is central to your life purpose. That's it.
What do you think?
I think that's actually true. What?
Yeah.
I think that's true as hell.
Yeah.
I think it is all about friends and family.
Yeah, Sean's brother comes to all our shows, takes pictures.
Yeah. I can see my sister tomorrow.
Hung out with his
That's great.
My parents
mom,
come
Mary
out to the
Kay,
shows all the time. Yeah.
Dad, Mike.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sister Megan. I don't even know my mom and dad and sister's names. So.
Yeah. It takes all kinds, Sabrina. It's all good.
You going for it?
So we're here finding our life purpose on helium.
I've never actually done this before.
You might have to inhale more.
Yeah, good. You've never inhaled helium? Oh, shit.
Light and love. Your purpose is to bring divine healing light and love to this world.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's on point.
You feel that?
What do you think?
I think it sounds a bit exhausting.
You're addicted to helium. Just watched it happen.
Better be careful.
We limit it to 1 balloon per guest.
Oh, there we go. That's good. Whoa.
Protected. You are safe and supported while you change your career.
Whoa. That's actually something I could
use.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I get this one a lot.
He did.
The universe is really telling me that I'm cool.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good with this shit. All right, I'm a chill. All right, go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sweaty though.
Career change. You're embarking upon a career that brings you joy and abundance you desire and deserve.
Boom.
Wow.
Boom.
There you go.
Podcasting.
The podcast.
Yeah.
By the way, support us on Patreon.
On Patreon.
Yes.
Listen, subscribe,
Yes.
and rate.
You need some support, some air conditioning in the future.
We're gonna move it upstairs.
For sure, bro.
It's
It is
hot
crazy down
We're
here.
sorry.
Hey, it's
We're
July
sorry.
tour.
It's July in
Yeah.
the summer. It's July in the summer. Speaking of podcasts, Sean, you have your own podcast.
I
Oh,
did,
yeah.
Joe told
yeah.
me about
Yeah,
it.
what's up with that?
I haven't. Sorry, just to be frank for a second. No, I haven't done. I did like 60 episodes.
60's a lot.
60's a
Don't
lot.
just say
About
just.
4
That's a
years
lot.
ago. I was
And-
doing it weekly, you know,
Yeah.
and
60's a lot.
it was fun. It's just like I did it through Earwolf, and they wanted to do like more like music related things, and I was like kind of their dude for that. And
Earwolf is they
Podcast
they're like
service.
a label of sorts, you know. I
Yeah,
guess
they're
what
a
you call
big. They're a big one though.
Now they
got,
do like
Conan, and all
yeah,
that.
and like Comedy Bang Bang and all that stuff, and really good ones. And they were kind of like one of the original kind of labels, if you will, and it was cool. It's a lot of work, you know what I mean? Like just getting guests and keeping up with that. And while I was like touring so much,
Did you do it on your own, or did they help you with that?
I did all like kind of the producing of it, you know.
Yeah,
in a
you
way,
need
like,
you need a partner. Like
Yeah.
that's why it's great with me and him, because I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah, I felt like I was just like asking my friends for favors all the time, and I was just like,
Right.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But like, and I was just touring so much that it got to be like really.
How many years
a lot
ago
of,
was this?
it was a while ago. It was like 4 or 5 at this point.
That you done?
Yeah, when I
Wow.
stopped, and I just did it for like a year. By the end, I was just like reading like dramatic interpretations of like LL Cool J's autobiography and stuff like that. And so like,
Oh,
you know what I
really?
mean? Like I was just
That's
like,
a
I don't want
great
to get
idea.
guests for a while.
Can we still
Oh,
do that?
really?
Can we keep it going?
That's pretty funny.
Then they were like,
That's
"You
our
want to
next
do this
segment,
anymore?" And I
Joe.
was like, "Not really, but I'll keep going if you need me to." And they're like, "Nah, that's
Was
fine."
it a contract with them?
No, it was just sort of like. Then they were cool. They had
Are
like
the
their whole
episodes
staff like did all
available
like the
still?
production and everything. Yeah, you can still get them on iTunes. It's called Nocturnal Emotions.
Nocturnal Emotions.
And there's a guest each episode. I had some really fun ones with
yeah.
like there's
Sabrina
a
wants
bunch of
to
great
pick
ones.
new cards, Joe.
All right, let's do that. You want to?
It's kind of overwhelming.
But you're picking like
Those
multiple.
are the good ones, Sabrina.
Those are good ones. But do you want the
I'm
dragon
just
deck?
curious. Dragon deck.
You want? I mean, I'm into these decks. There you go. Ready?
Shit. Okay. What do we got? It's the Motivation Manifesto.
Todd Barry came on the podcast and he goes, "Did you pay money for those?"
That's awesome.
We have forgotten that the natural foe to life is not a distant death, but a present in the moment detachment from living.
Oh my God, that should have been mine.
Well,
That's just what I was talking about.
I don't. Those are just a bunch of words to me. I like kind of didn't even read like a through line there. Like, we have forgotten that the natural foe to life is not a distant death, but a present in the moment detachment. Oh yeah, there we go. That makes sense now that I didn't just read aloud and not think about it. I don't really have much to say on that subject right now because I'm still helium-brained.
Yeah, the helium does.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's
It
healthy.
elevates it.
Ehud always pushes it. I'm like over the helium.
It's pleasant.
Yeah, I'm. But yeah.
It's fun
Wait,
for,
let me see
it's
what
fun
yours
for the
says.
listeners.
We have forgotten that the natural foe to life is not a distant death, but a present in the moment detachment from living.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It does. It's hard. I guess it's hard to stay in the moment
Yeah.
and attached into, or like vulnerable. I guess.
Fear
it's-
not being in the moment.
Yeah.
As much as a death
These are
that
all
you don't
from
know.
Brendan Bouchard's book, so
Okay.
Yeah.
they're lifted. That's his merch.
These aren't Killer's
Well,
lyrics.
Okay.
I just picked a random name.
That's funny as hell. Dude. Go for it. What's
I
yours?
heard
say?
Brendan. I heard Brandon. I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing remarkable in our personal growth can be achieved without opening to love and unleashing its joyful fire into the world.
Wow, just disappointed in that one.
So that will take so much effort on my part.
Nothing remarkable.
But it does relate exactly to the other card that I got. So
unleashing its joyful fire.
I got the light and love.
But I mean, isn't that what you guys are doing? You guys are unleashing love's joyful fire into the world.
Well, yeah, but that's scheduled on the calendar. I feel like the universe wants me to work a little harder off stage. I do it like 45 minutes a night.
Yeah, we do it for money.
I mean, isn't it just? Come on, I don't believe it. But like, I honestly think it like the work off stage is like take a run first thing in the morning and like.
I ran up the Rocky Steps yesterday.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, good. Man. That like it's like I think it's real basic things like that really just like, and it doesn't take much. People like overestimate what it takes. Like. Even like a 1 mile run mixed with 10 minutes of meditation, which you could do all within an hour, and then like some touching your toes.
Yeah.
Like I do love to touch myself on the toes.
I like the way you said that. It was evocative. For a second, it was going to go somewhere else. All right, here we go.
Long pauses.
Success and fulfillment in life. Wait, success and fulfillment in life rest on the unflagging ability to get up, to be ourselves, to chase our dreams with fire each day, to keep willing ourselves to the next level of presence, performance, and potential. That's I can relate
long,
to that.
That's a lot.
Mine is like because I was like doing really, really good, and then I just went to LA. And I don't know what happens to y'all when you spend a lot of time in LA, but I always like have a great time for the first week, and then by like week 2, 3, I start losing my soul.
It's isolating.
It's weird what starts happening to my mentality and stuff, and like I don't know. And then it's a rebuilding process of like, and feeling like I missed the mark, and then not going into shame, like. But going more into guilt this time, which was just like what Brene Brown was saying is like, instead of saying, I am bad, I did something bad. And the difference between I am bad and I did something bad is huge, because I am bad leads to addiction, self-destruction, and all that. But I did something bad leads to like, I want to course correct this behavior. It leads the opposite away from addiction. And one thing I realized is like, why did I fuck up? Because I was like, why did I perceive that I fucked up? And I realized, oh man, this is good. This is like, I think I fucked up to show myself that now I'm processing this stuff as guilt rather than as toxic shame, which is a huge improvement. And then it became like, oh man, this is actually encouraging.
Yeah.
And then I went out and ran, and now I'm having a great podcast with you guys.
There you go. Hey,
what does your card say?
Yeah.
Any plunge into the unknown is reckless, but that's where the treasure lies.
Ooh.
Whoa.
It's a given.
That's this. That's this conversation.
Yeah. Just diving in.
Somebody was like saying conversations are like psychedelics. Like a conversation, you think of it, oh, it's just a podcast or a conversation, but it's actually a psychedelic experience.
Sounds like a person that takes a lot of psychedelics.
Well, speaking of which, should we put on masks?
Wow, you got a lot of props.
There's a mask right behind you. Or does anybody want this one?
Yeah, I mean...
That's hot. Just be careful. You could take your headphones off for that one.
I'll take that one.
Okay.
I feel like this is an outtake from Midsummer.
Oh my God, did you see that?
Yes, twice. We actually saw it twice on this tour.
I don't want to, because I want to hear what's...
I saw it.
Hey, you saw it.
It's not gonna...
I saw it in LA.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to hear through these things.
I can't squeeze in without...
I'm just gonna go like this, and then you can just see the face.
The lamb face.
Whoa. Sabrina, let me have your phone. I'll take a photo of you too.
This
is
amazing.
Too good not to.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild mask.
I feel like my best self.
While you guys have masks on,
yeah, ask
Sean,
us questions.
For the viewers that aren't here, Sean's wearing a Dolly 1972 T-shirt that is pretty epic.
It is.
What
epic.
were your music influences growing up?
Well, I was kind of
fucking Prince, man.
I was really into Prince, and like Thriller just came out when I was like 5, so or 4 even, and so that was kind of like where everything started for me. So I found like Tina Turner and all that stuff kind of as like an outreach from those jump offs. And
which one's Tina Turner? That was her big breakout album when she was a Buddhist or whatever.
Well, at that point it was like the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome like single of We Don't Need Another Hero.
Yeah. What was that big album she put out where she like came back after chanting and stuff?
Shit, what was it called? I don't even know album titles from back. I mean, that, like I said, I was into singles and like soundtracks and oh, this is amazing to look at your face. Your beard is just blending in so effortlessly. Somehow your mouth looks like it needs to be there. It works out.
That's an expensive mask. It works.
Which one?
Yours. It's amazing. It's the best one.
This one wasn't that much.
Oh, you should get more of those.
I'll go find it at the party.
There's got to be a card about that. The price is not the worth of it.
What about Hall & Oates?
Oh, I love Hall & Oates, but I kind of discovered them later as beyond like kind of like the radio seeping into my brain and just kind of like being there. I kind of didn't really consider myself a Hall & Oates fan until maybe like my 20s because I knew all the songs, but then I was like, wait, this is all like one band that rules.
No,
I should
they were
really like go
it.
deep. You know what I mean?
Did you ever meet Prince?
I did. I mean, not like we had.
The mouth moves on that. It's pretty
I
crazy.
like her taking a selfie.
I didn't. I was in the same room as Prince a lot of times. I never really let myself have like a conversation because I knew I'd fuck it up or like this is like one of those things you don't want to meet your heroes and then like not be able to listen to like your 7 favorite albums ever again because something weird happened. Right. So, but definitely,
that's why
being around
you.
I got to tour in his bus.
Oh, what? Oh, but like,
yeah.
Was he just like in the back kind of?
No, he wasn't in it. He would rent out his tour bus.
What?
And because when I first started, I got on Virgin Records on my second record through Real World, but so I got kind of like the major label rollout for one album.
Yeah.
And I was touring solo with Loopers and stuff. And so we just needed a tour manager and me, and so they had Prince's bus available.
Whoa!
So we rented that, and it just had like
came without Prince.
It had like a queen size bed in the back.
Wait,
with like
a queen size bed for Prince?
Yeah,
you should have a Prince size bed.
Well, it was like it had like a glass wall, like a shower, like connected to a shower, so you could have like a shower show. It had like It had like a washer and dryer, and also you could go both number 1 and number 2.
What, you could?
Yep.
You had a grinder?
He did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why would Prince rent out his bus though?
Because, dude, it's like still money though. Like think about the money. Like it's like a lot of money.
Yeah, tour bus costs like what, like $500,000.
Bro, a lot of money. Like and then he like took it back once we rode through Minneapolis early.
Yeah.
He like actually reclaimed it early.
Filled it with
yeah, like we had
Did you
like
see the show?
No. Dude, we were playing at like that small room?
7th Street entry?
No, even like
smaller.
Smaller.
6th Street entry.
Oh, yeah.
I
trying to
forget
think.
what it's called.
Turf Club.
No, it's even
a little bigger actually, but
like more punk rock club back in the
Triple
90s.
Rock.
I don't remember, but anyway, it was like we were playing little clubs.
Yeah,
we shouldn't have been having a big tour bus like that. Anyway. It's just like it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's funny to hear a deer say that.
It didn't make sense. Nothing makes sense, man.
Were they punk?
Yeah, at different phases in my life. I got into punk when I was in my early 20s and I was working in kitchens all the time, needing to listen to energetic music that shared my feelings of being downtrodden.
Like which bands?
I was listening to. I get so I don't like being asked this. I hate when I say that, but like this is just the worst for me. But yeah, which bands was I listening to?
You don't like this question?
No.
Skip
yeah,
it.
Dead Boys, The Dicks, Cockspur, the Adverts.
If you don't like it, skip it.
No, yeah, I really. No, yeah, I really.
You really don't like it.
I don't like to talk in a podcast or in an interview about other music that I like. And I hate to say this, but it is 3:30.
Yeah, it's time to.
That we've written together.
It's time to wrap it.
Oh, that's hard to say.
Control is my favorite as far as like what's at the end of all the production goes.
Yeah, but that's
it's
one
the
you
most
haven't heard
heavy
yet.
hitting. Yeah.
It's a good song.
All right, we gotta wrap up. It's 3:30.
They have to go to sound.
Yeah, we gotta go to the sound.
Yo,
check.
you guys, it's been great.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Man, thanks for doing it.
And where should people follow you?
Sorry
guys
about
for
the
tour
heat.
dates?
Oh, it's okay. You can go to our website is heartbones2.com because some other organization has heartbones.com. But there's two of us and we're Heartbones, so we just go heartbones2.com.
Heartbones.com.
Heartbones2.
Oh, heartbones2.com. Sorry. And then what's your Instagram and all that?
Well, there's Heartbones2 and there's Harmar Superstar and there's Pinata Person for Sabrina. There's a lot. You can find it all kind of like through the Harmar, A Giant Dog, Heartbones kind of world. You'll find us. We live online sometimes.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for
everybody.
having us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll see you at the show tonight.
See you at the show.
Hell yeah. Oh, God.
Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/ComeToWhereI'mFrom. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.